How y'all folks doing this fine day? This is Cable Company here, Gator. I be talking about fact sheets all the time. I got fact is, I got this, and fact is, I got that. And I just want you to look right here. This is my NASA, and I got a few things I want to show you. This is the Saturn, and I'm not having too good of a day today, but I don't want to forget about Lisa and Lisa's grandbaby law. Um, we've got to pass that. Okay. I'll read these to you if you want me to. Some of these I just thought I'd show you about the fact sheets, and I gotta look up some. I gotta look up some the different. This one here is Cape Canaveral. Halfway down Florida's east coast, between Jacksonville and Miami, is America's most complete space station testing laboratory. Much of the Cape terrain consists of thick undergrowth and palmetto scrubs, not too unlike the earlier days when Indians and the early settlers made their home on this arrow-shaped sandy spit jutting into the Atlantic Ocean. New growth, greater than that of the national environment, started with the signing of a bill authorizing and launching range at Cape Canaveral on May 11, 1949. On June 13, 1950, the Department of Defense assigned the responsibility for the operation of this long-range proving ground at Banana River, Florida, to the Air Force. The Atlantic Missile Range, MAR, presently extends across the South River, Florida, to the Air Force. The Atlantic Missile Range, AMR, presently extends across the South Atlantic and into the Indian Ocean. However, it might be more aptly said to have its endings in infinite space. Land acquisition by the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, will increase the Cape area from its present 15,000 acres to approximately 95,000 acres by mid-1963. This increase in land mass is required to carry out the program for the peaceful exploration of space as outlined by the Congress. The present Cape boundaries are Port Canaveral to the south, the Atlantic Ocean to the east, and with the acquisition of land on Merritt Island, the Indian River will form the western terminus. The area will connect to the Florida mainland in the north. Since AMR was established 12 years ago, it has been a research and development test facility. Design work now underway will alter this mission to one which is primarily operational, capable of routine rapid launching for large payloads. Physical appearance of the launch areas will change along with their mission character. The skyline will be dominated by massive assembly sheds where Saturn C5 and Nova vehicles can be prepared for launch simultaneously. The first vehicle launching at Cape Canaveral took place on July the 24th, 1950. Bumper number 8 was a combination V2 and WAC, a corporal that attained 25 miles in a horizontal distance test. From this early launching and the many hundreds that followed came the technology that has enable this nation to undertake the challenging programs of building large vehicles with the objective of landing a crew of astronauts and scientists on the moon in this decade. The Cape is served by a channel from the Florida Island waterway, with docking facilities for Saturn barges and other craft. Road and air are other means of direct transportation. A network of over 65 miles of paved roads within the Cape provides access to presently developed areas. Total employees at the AMR number approximately 23,000. By the summer of 1963, it is expected to increase to 33,000 persons. NASA employees at Cape Canaveral in mid-1962 number about 2,000, including contractor and construction personnel. The personnel projection through 1966 indicates a rapid growth to more than 16,000. This large influx of people will have a noticeable impact on Brevard County, which has already attained the status of the fastest growing county in the United States during the 1950s. Cape Canaveral has an average temperature of 72.5 degrees. August is the warmest month, and a rainy season exists from May through October. High humidity is prevalent through most of the year. The average rainfall is 41 inches, and the water table varies from 2 to 6 feet. The highest point of natural elevation is 10 feet on the Cape. An abundance of wildlife inhabit the Cape, the largest being deer, which are frequently sighted. During a recent surveying operation by a contractor firm, one particular area received a minimum of scrutiny. It was known a 10-foot alligator inhabited this particular marsh. Here's the, let's see if we can see that. Right there. There you go. Okay, that's the back sheet. And that is, I just read you that. And this is, and I got there's a picture that I'm going to dedicate this to Bob and Tony Revel. They were Rocketeers. I'll read you some more of them fact sheets. I want to find that one. That, we got the moon rock. Of course, to me, I'm gonna go into. I say all these. Look at all these, man. Look. And then here, this one here is cool. Look here. See this one here? Check this out. Okay, this right here is January 1972. Okay, what is the space shuttle? The space shuttle will be the first reusable space vehicle. It will consist of 2 stages, a booster and an orbiter. It will take off like a rocket, fly in orbit like a spaceship, and land like an airplane. Wow, it really is cool, ain't it? You know, think about it. What will the shuttle look like? The orbiter will have a delta wing and will look very much like a modern airplane. It will be powered by 3 high-pressure oxygen-hydrogen engines. Propellants for these engines will be carried in an external jettisonable tank. 2 different kinds of boosters are still under consideration. The first uses liquid propellants, pressure-fed engines, and is recoverable. The second uses solid rocket motors. One of these 2 booster options will be selected within the next several weeks. What are the dimensions of the orbiter and booster? The overall length of the booster is approximately 53 meters, that's 175 feet, or about 17 stories high. The orbiter is about the size of a DC-9. It measures more than 36.5 meters, which is 120 feet in length, and has a wingspan of 22.9 meters, which is 75 feet. Fully fueled and ready to launch, the shuttle will weigh approximately 2132 metric tons. That's 4.7 million pounds on the launch pad. The dimensions described above are subject to modification upon completion of contractor studies and analysis of their recommendations. What are the dimensions of the orbiter's passenger compartment cargo area? The orbiter will have a large payload of 4.3 to 4.7 meters, which is 14 to 15 feet in diameter, and 13.7 to 18 meters, which is 45 to 60 feet in length. Hatches on top of the compartment will open wide in orbit to facilitate unloading and deployment of large spacecraft. How will the shuttle operate? The booster and orbiter stages will be joined for launch, with the orbiter in piggyback position at altitude. The two stages will separate, and the orbiter's engines will fire to carry it into orbit around the Earth. What function will the shuttle perform? The multiple purpose shuttle will replace almost all present expendable launch vehicles. Well, why can't I don't know why we still on you. Why did y'all quit using one? Why make a new one? How come y'all don't make a new one? If it was so good, I'm sure the astronauts would probably tell you. Oh, it's what if we listen, we might know what the hell. I know a Russian rocket seems to be going up, but they got a lot of problems too, though, don't they? The multi-purpose shuttle will replace almost all present expendable launch vehicles. It will be used to carry into space virtually all of this nation's payloads, scientific and applications, manned and unmanned, civilian and military. It will also accommodate the future needs of commercial users, other government agencies, and foreign governments. In the future, it will be used to ferry passengers and freight between Earth and orbiting space laboratories. If necessary, the shuttle will also be available to rescue missions in space. How long will the orbiter be able to remain in orbit? Anywhere from a week to a maximum of 30 days, depending on mission requirements. When its mission is completed, its two-man crew will pilot the orbiter back to Earth for an airplane-type landing at the takeoff point or another landing field. When will the shuttle be operational? The system is expected to take 6 years to develop. It should be operational by the end of this decade. What is the first mission plan for the shuttle? There will be many mission requirements waiting for the shuttle when it is built, ranging from deployment of weather and communication satellites to the retrieval of automated spacecraft now in orbit. What NASA centers will be involved with the shuttle work? The Manned Spacecraft Center has been designated the lead center with program management responsibility, overall engineering and system integration and basic performance requirements for the shuttle. Houston will also be responsible for the orbiter stage of the shuttle. Marshall Space Flight Center has been given responsibility for the booster stage and the Space Shuttle main engine. Kennedy Space Center will be responsible for design of launch and recovery facilities. As in the Apollo program, all other NASA centers will contribute by providing technical know-how and support. How much will it cost to develop the shuttle? Development costs are estimated at $5.5 billion in current dollars over a 6-year period. This is about 1/4 the cost of the Apollo program. The there'll be cost overruns or above this. The refined cost estimating techniques used in detailed design studies indicate that the job will be completed within the estimated cost figure. But because of the highly complex textural nature of the project, a contingency of 20% above the 5.5 billion figure was included for future planning purposes. Are there any other fixed costs? Yes. Development costs include all research, development, and tests, evaluation expenses, as well as 2 flight test vehicles. In addition, development and initial operational facilities will cost about 300 million, each added orbiter to 250 million, and each added booster 50 million. How much will it cost to fly the shuttle? Less than 10 million per flight. Far less than any other space vehicle with an equivalent payload capacity. This is interesting, isn't it, huh? Guys, by how much will the shuttle reduce space costs? It is estimated that the reusable space shuttle will reduce the cost per pound of putting a payload into space from between 600 and 700 at present to 100 by comparison. The first U.S. satellite Explorer 1, which weighed only 30 pounds, represented a payload delivery cost of 100 thousand per pound. In addition to the direct savings available with the reusable shuttle, significant additional economies will be achieved through reduction of the number of types and launch vehicles needed to support the nation's space effort, and in the cost of the satellites themselves. With the shuttle, automated satellites can be repaired or serviced in space or returned to Earth for refurbishment and reuse. Moreover, the size and weight carrying capacity of the orbiter will free designers from constraints which make design more difficult and costly. This will make it possible to use relatively inexpensive standard laboratory equipment in place of specially constructed, highly miniaturized equipment which is expensive to develop and test. In the final analysis, total savings made possible by the shuttle will depend on its frequency of use. How will availability of the space shuttle affect future use in space? With the savings in launch costs, payload costs, and payload development time, it is expected that the space shuttle will greatly increase the use of space by government agencies and commercial users, and lead to the discovery of new uses for space. One of the primary reasons for development of the shuttle is to open the use of space for the practical benefit of mankind. With it, we will be better able to survey the Earth's resources, monitor and predict weather, improve worldwide communication, build improve manufacturing processes, enlarge our knowledge of the Earth and our solar system, and perhaps even harness the sun's energy as a source of pollution-free energy. Yay, man, there you go, fellers. Don't dig into the core, let's just, it's on a system and the old people goes off the same time every day. What is the complement of the space shuttle crew? The orbiter will be piloted by a crew of 2. How many passengers will the shuttle be able to carry? The orbiter will carry 2 passengers in addition to the crew. Provisions can also be made to carry 6 to 12 more, or even more if required, in special modules carried in the payload bay. Who will be able to fly in the shuttle? The interior of the shuttle will be pressurized so that passengers and crew can travel in shirtlessly comfort without spacesuits. No special flight training would be required for passengers, making it possible to send scientists, doctors, artists, photographers, both men and women, into space. When will NASA issue an RFP for building the vehicle? A source evaluation board will be selected this month and is planned to issue requests for proposals in the spring. How long after RFP is issued will it be before a definitive contract is awarded for Phase C and D? NASA present timetable calls for awarding a definite contract for Phase C, D in summer of this year. What kind of support has Congress given to the space shuttle? The Congress strongly supported and approved the shuttle proposal presented in NASA's budget for fiscal year 1972. with a clear understanding that development would proceed at completion of the studies then underway. I thought that was pretty interesting. I'll read that to you. But I want to go into next time we're going to go. When I get to feeling a little better. I don't feel good. It's just I guess it's rainy. It's going to rain. But I got this one right here. The successful failure. There's 16. This one right here. This one here. This is the whole deal of it. With Young and yeah, he's got his biography and all of them. It really is cool as hell, man. This is really neat. I mean, you see that? It's like, I don't know if you see that or not, but this is just wild. I mean, it's just like, it is an elite. I don't know. That's what, there's Apollo. See that? And then, it's got different, but, it's, the voyage to the Volcanic Highlands. Okay, Apollo, John W. Young. See, it's got these guys right here. You know, this is for mass publication. It's like they said, 26,000 people, so they mass produced this. Those are probably auto pen signatures there. I learned that. John W. Young, Apollo 16 commander, was born in San Francisco, California, September 24, 1930. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Astronautical Engineering from Georgia Institute of Technology in 1952. He also holds 2 honorary doctorates, Doctor of Laws, Western State University College of Law, 1969, and Doctor of Applied Science, Florida Technological University, 1970. Young entered the United States Navy in 1952. From 1959 to 1962, he served as a test pilot and program manager of the F-4H Weapons System Project. In 1962, Young set world time to climb records in the 3,000 meter and the 25,000 meter altitudes in the F-4B Navy fighter. He was one of the 9 astronauts selected by NASA in September of 1962. Young was the pilot of the Gemini 3, command pilot for the Gemini 10, and command modular pilot for Apollo 10. Young was awarded the NASA Exceptional Service Medal in 1965 and in 1966. Thomas K. Mattingly II, command modular pilot, was born in Chicago, Illinois, March 17, 1936. He received a Bachelor of Science degree in Astronomical Engineering from Auburn University in 1958. He entered the United States Navy in 1958 and completed flight training in 1960. From 1960 to 1963, he was assigned to Attack Squadron 35 and through A-1H aircraft on carrier duty. In 1963, he served in the A-3B aircraft, also on carriers. His last assignment prior to his selection as an astronaut was a student at the Air Force Aerospace Research Pilot School. Mattingly was one of 19 astronauts selected by NASA in 1966. Okay, well, we're just gonna let her go at that right there. It's getting on. You remember what I told you about time? But I'll read all this. I'll read all this to you if you want me to. All right, just remember to. There's nothing that I have. All these fact sheets, and I'm going to find that one for y'all. And I got Cape Canaveral. I don't know if I read that to you or not. Why does the spacecraft stay up? I'm going to read that one to you, Liftoff, too. You know, I can do that pretty good. I tried it. It's a go. We have a go. You know, it sounded better. I'm sorry I I'm not feeling well today, but y'all come back and save me. Mitch Lerner, no senior, 301 Harbert Valley Road, Toccoa, Georgia, 30577. Write me today. Tell me what's on your mind. I'll tell you what's on mine, okay? Don't forget about Lisa's grandbaby law. We want to pass that law, okay? Talk about it. Look up brain dead. Look up brain dead, okay? And you don't have to, people do come out of a coma. And they stole Lisa's organs, and whether they got them or not, that was their intention. And they didn't care about her because of the blood on the sheets. Go back and look at all the videos. It tells you in detail what them hospital people done to us. And they were wrong. Don't be an organ donor. Get that off of you. We got robotics. This right here, you see this. They get that life link and pay some money out. You want to help people? It got artificial hearts, arms. Hey, come on now. 7 days, that wasn't right. Think about it. Don't let them get away with this. Stop them.